You drink it, you cook with it, you use it every day. But for 1 in 4 people, clean water isn't on tap. Instead, it's a long walk, a heavy load, a health risk. As cities grow, water sources shrink, rivers run dry, wells go deeper, and unpredictable floods, droughts, and storms are hitting hardest when life is already tough. Everyone is affected, but those with the least lose the most. It's time for us to act and to listen to science, to nature, and to the voices of those living in scarcity. The Fair Water exhibit shows how each of us, like a single drop, can ripple outward and become waves of change. Discover research, expert talks, powerful stories, and artworks that will inspire action towards a fair water future. Fair water? Let's make it a reality. Visit the free exhibit at Ayala Museum from May 28 to August 28, 2025.
No one pays much attention to the ordinary until they restore democracy, feed the hungry, save the seas, or protect the dignity of a people. For how can one see greatness in the unassuming, the soft-spoken, the frail, or the humble, if it's measured by the usual yardstick of success? The man whose name now bears Asia's most prestigious award seemed ordinary by all means, except that even as a mechanic, he already had the sense to improve the lives of his fellow men. What is it about ordinary men and women who turn their back on a comfortable life so they can clean up oceans and light up villages? How can they know that what they fight for will make governments sit up and listen? What moves these ordinary people to do extraordinary things? It's called greatness of spirit. It is celebrated every 31st of August by the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation as a fitting homage to the legacy of the Philippine president who was once called Man of the Masses. He believed that the little man is entitled to a little bit more of everything, and that no one's dignity should ever be compromised. Today, over 300 ordinary men and women have displayed the same conviction and courage to transform society, and thus have been honored with the Ramon Magsaysay Award. For protecting fundamental human rights, for encouraging the poor to become asset creators, or for just playing music that colors the mind. And while the award can boost ordinary men and women to celebrity, many of the winners use it to enable them to work much harder for the communities they serve, because they know that the award is not about them, but about the solutions they make. That's how ordinary men and women become extraordinary.
Sila ang mga dapatapon, basurang itinatapon natin dito at doon. Lagim na namumuo sa ating mga waterway. May dalawang klase ng basura na nagiging sanhi ng pagdumi ng ating waterways. Una ay ang solid waste tulad ng goma at plastic. Pero meron ding liquid waste o wastewater. Ito yung ginamit na tubig gaya ng pang-flush ng inidoro, panligo at panghugas ng pinggan. Wastewater din ang maruruming likido na nanggagaling sa mga commercial at industrial establishment. Solid o liquid, kapag napunta sa ating mga katubigan, pareho silang lason na pumapatay sa ating mga yamang tubig, gaya ng mga ilog at dagat, at nagiging banta sa kalusugan ng komunidad. Huwag mag-alala, may pag-asa pang masagip ang ating mga katubigan. Ito ay sa pamamagitan ng solid waste segregation and recycling at sa responsible wastewater management. Sa pamamagitan ng world-class treatment facilities ng Maynilad, nakokolekta at nalilinis ng husto ang wastewater bago ito ibalik sa ating mga katubigan. Kaya, hindi ito nagdudulot ng polusyon. Kung mapapangalagaan natin ang ating mga waterway, pwede rin itong maging alternative water source para sa ating inuming tubig. Ito ang ginagawa ng Maynilad sa tulong ng mga makabagong teknolohiya at pasilidad na nakakapag-produce ng tubig na pasado sa Philippine National Standards for Drinking Water or PNSTW ng DOH. Pero syempre, ang pinakamabisa pa rin panlaban sa pagkasira ng ating waterways ay ang pagtupad ng ating tungkulin na protektahan ang ating mga katubigan. Kaya huwag magtapon kung saan-saan dahil ugaling patapon yan.
Thank you, Maynilad and Coca-Cola Foundation for championing our cause and helping us bring the inspiring stories of our speakers to a greater audience through the Fair Water Talk series. To officially open today's Fair Water Talk, may we call on the Director of the Ramon Magsaysay Transformative Leadership Institute, Ms. Joy Alampay.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Olivia. I didn't hear anyone. Good morning! Sige. So, on behalf of our President, Ms. Susan Afan, I'm here with you today to deliver the opening remarks. But before that, I'd like to say hello to our friends who are here, especially the schools. We have the PLM here from San Beda, our friends from San Beda, and the National Teachers College. And here also today, for the second Saturday, we're very thankful our friends from the Department of Tourism, particularly the guides of doing their work mostly in NCR. Tama, Sir Dennis? So Sir Dennis is here with our colleagues at the DOT. I'd also like to thank, because they're always present, the Women in Infrastructure, Ms. Gia Veloso and her team. And of course, today would not have been possible, as you have seen in our video. Our friends from Coca-Cola Foundation, Ma'am Monina and John, this is their third session that they've supported us. So thank you for your partnership, ma'am. They have a special relationship with AIDFI as well, as you will see in our guests, our very special guest and keynote this morning. So we're very happy to have all of you on a lazy Saturday. Di ba bad weather to? Pero nandito tayo lahat because this is very important. So I'd like to thank you in advance. And again, Coca-Cola and Maynilad, who has also been supporting us. This is our 7th Fair Water Talk. And we'd also like to invite you after this to the second floor gallery where we have the Fair Water exhibit, running until August 28. And again, I've mentioned, this is our 7th talk. We have 5 more of the talks, and we hope to see you again in the coming Saturdays. So now, for the formal opening, I'll be reading the message of our President. So, water shapes our lives every day. Yet we only feel its full power when it's absent or when it overwhelms us. For many, you've seen earlier in the video, a woman carrying this 20-kilo water container. Mamaya, we'll see why there is this 2 of the water containers. I don't know what our special guest will be making us do, but meron kahulugan yan kung bakit nandyan. So, more than a crisis, water is an opportunity, a starting point for equity, collaboration, and hope. That's exactly what today represents. Under our theme for this morning, fair sharing of water, water for all. Because when communities truly share water, not just access to it, but owning it, managing it, and caring for it, we build trust. It builds stronger and safer communities, and of course, it builds futures. This belief lies at the very heart of our foundation, the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation, which honors those who bring real sustainable change to the people who need it most. In 2021, that honor was given to an organization that quietly transformed the way remote communities access clean water. The AIDFI, or the Alternative Indigenous Development Foundation Incorporated. AIDFI was recognized for its work pioneering the use of hydraulic ram pumps. When you entered, there's this contraption at the back. It's a miniature version of that pump. It is an elegant, fuel-free technology that lifts water uphill using only the energy of falling water. But more than that, AIDFI has been celebrated for its deep community partnerships, building local ownership, training technicians, and ensuring systems remain sustainable and equitable long after its installation. And behind this work, I'm very honored to introduce to you one of its co-founders and driving forces, Auke Idzenga. I hope I did that correctly. I've been practicing for weeks and I still don't know if I got it. Auke is a Dutch marine engineer who has lived and worked in the Philippines since 1985. Yes, magaling pa siya sa akin magtagalog minsan. And Ilonggo. So, wag kayong magugulat, bigla niya tayong kakausapin. In both languages. Inspired by the challenges faced by upland farmers in Negros Occidental, he helped revive and refine the hydraulic ram pump. And over the decades, under Auke's leadership, AIDFI has installed over 200 pump systems, reaching upland communities across the Philippines and even globally in places like Afghanistan, Nepal, and Colombia. And I've seen that there are 600 plus villages that they've served and over 303,000 to be exact, people that have benefited. And so many millions of water being given to all these communities, clean water. So Auke has always believed, so globally, not only in the Philippines, in places like Afghanistan, Nepal, and now even in Colombia. Auke has always believed that appropriate technology is only as powerful as the people who use it. And it's this community-first approach where villagers are trained as builders, owners, and stewards of their own systems that turns a simple pump into a lasting solution. For his work, Auke has also received the 2019 Saint Teresa of Calcutta, another awardee of ours, Mother Teresa, award, honoring him as an engineer of the poor. We are very thankful for all his work in the Philippines and beyond. So today, we are very fortunate to learn directly from him as he shares not only the story behind AIDFI's work, but a live demonstration of that pump that has transformed many Filipinos' lives. Please join me in welcoming this visionary behind a 2011 Ramon Magsaysay Award-winning organization and a true champion of water for all, Auke Idzenga. Auke.
Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. No? So that was the mystery, no? Yung dalawang kong container. Salamat, Joy. Normally, I do my presentations with slides and without write-up, pero it's half an hour. So then I get completely in trouble because I'm taken away by several slides, and then I want to say things which I was not planning to say, and I get in time trouble. So I decided yesterday to write it up, to make it the real, complete story. So good morning to all of you. Now, before I start, let me first congratulate the initiative takers of the Water Talks and the exhibition. My sincere thanks to the Transformative Leadership Institute. I did not practice that. That's okay, no? Ikaw yan na practice sa kasimana. Of the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation for inviting me to be one of the talkers. No? Coca-Cola Foundation to sponsor this forum, and to all you here present to hear the story of AIDFI in providing upland waterless communities and farms to have easy access to an increased volume of water. No? So dalawa, no? Easy access and more water. The idea for this morning is for us here in the room to imagine the difficulty of bringing up to 40 liters of water per day. Then a video, I will be showing a video to picture out what I will be talking about. There's the holistic approach. There's also an animation in the presentation of the ram pump for those who technically are interested how does it really works. Then followed by a question and answer. And I'm very happy with this forum because normally it's like 5 minutes and then tapos na. Also presentations are always time pressured, but we have the whole morning. No? Okay lang ka mo? No? May mga pagkain, may cokes. No? Walang Mountain Dew. No? I always make the joke with Coca-Cola. Favorite ko is Mountain Dew. Walang Mountain Dew. Ha? So. Then for those interested to see the ram pump in action, it was announced, no? There is a time at the end of the presentation, there's a miniature in action, no? So that's the real thing. And then there will be a turnover of a display because tagal na yung Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation. Sabi nila, do you have anything for us in the museum? So we will be handing over, or I will be handing over the miniature for the Museum of Ramon Magsaysay, this miniature. So let's get started with the challenge, no? This is in La Castellana, and I took the picture because I know the project very well. He has to bring this up, before we installed a ram pump, he had to bring this up twice a day over 90 meters elevation. So to imagine that, we have a challenge. We already practiced, we have one from Ramon Magsaysay. Yun dito. Yung MC natin, no? But she goes to the gym every day, so parang, who would like to try? There are 2 containers filled with water, so this is the way they bring it up. Who would like to try? No need naman dito, no need to go down and come back, but... Anybody? Seriously? It's filled with water. Just to have an idea how heavy... How many kilos is this? 40 kilos? Oh, sige. Yeah. Parang containers din.
Yeah, they call this one pinga.
Oh.
But I'm not sure if my body can...
Walang medics.
So, do you have any medication?
Walang medics sa Ayala kasi. Kung tama,
We
hindi
have
na.
a longer rope at the time, so we can...
Yeah. Be careful
This
lang.
one, oh my God, made it shake.
Ayan, sir, tutulungan. Pero sir, wag na lang.
No, it's okay.
Sige.
I'm still a virgin.
Bigat, no? Bigat kayo, no?
Dito, support
Oops.
Yes.
Wow, picture na. Anong kanta nyo during the water fetching? Salamat, sir. Anybody else? Isa pa. Tatlo ah.
Since my mom is from Cebu, I also sing
Thank you again.
doing this pinga.
Yeah.
I sing, usahay magadanggo ako, nganong gitiaw-tiawon kanimong gikakukma.
It's not about water, it's about women, no? Gugma. Salamat, sir. No? Bigat, no? You forgot how heavy it was, no? From child. Then. Sino pa? Yeah. Sige. Or just ano lang. Tulungan kahoy. Sa kahoy na lang pwede. Or assist na lang, no? So this is somebody who goes to the gym, eh? How many floors kaya mo sa building? Ha? Salamat. Isa pa? O, ikaw na Tina, o? Olivia. Pero may na balik-balik lang, no?
Gusto daw niya sa
Gajim.
ganon, sir.
Sige. Oh, imagine. How many floors?
Maybe like 2 if I'm lucky.
2 floors, no? Careful. Salamat, no? So let's try to imagine how many floors or how many steps, no? Kung sabi namin in the presentations, it's about elevation. If we say 90 meters elevation, nobody really can imagine, no? So let's figure that out. If we have to go 30 meters up elevation, it's 150 steps. Or it's a 10-story building, no? Walang elevator, ha? If it's 100 meters, that's nearly the one in La Castellana on the picture. That's a 34-story building, no? Where you have to bring it on top of the building on a daily basis. And if it's 200 meters, we had one in Pampanga. They had to bring water up to 235 meters. That's even more, no? So just to have really an idea. There's a video. It comprises the whole story, what I will be telling also, so you can picture out more. When I go deeper in the issues, you have a better idea.
There are tens of thousands waterless villages in the world where people spent time and money to have their water fetched, resulting in an average of 40 liters of water per day per household. This shortage creates many challenges like health and sanitation and other activities in and around the house. This burdens the women who do most of the household chores. The trek from their homes can be dangerous, especially during rains. Laundry, for example, must be done at a lower and far distant source. Playful children requested by their mothers to fetch water in the morning tend to forget time and for that reason often need to skip classes. Lack of water at home for regular bathing creates unnecessary skin diseases. Carrying water in heavy containers over heights and distances creates also neck and spinal problems. AIDFI is a social enterprise engaged in the manufacturing and installation of the AIDFI hydraulic ram pump, a device which pumps water from lower to much higher elevations without the use of electricity, fuel and emission of greenhouse gases, and used to supply upland villages with drinking, household, and irrigation systems. The holistic approach of AIDFI is geared towards sustainable water systems under the control of the beneficiaries and comprises community preparation with formation and training of water associations. Introduction of the Water Association to village and town councils. Beneficiaries are involved in all aspects of the implementation, from hauling, actual construction to pipe laying. Training of local villagers as ram pump technicians. Mechanical water kiosks are used for fair distribution and collection of fees for operation, repair and maintenance, expansion of the system or other livelihood projects. Distribution of household water filters for safe drinking water. The installation of the ram pump system and the empowerment of the associations, of which most officers are women, is towards triggering further development, like food production. The impact is better health, sanitation, time and money saved, laundry now near the houses, opportunities for growing vegetables. The mission of AIDFI is pumping water uphill to change lives in waterless communities worldwide. The associations are provided with mobile phones with a monitoring app through which data such as volume of water delivered, fees collected, and repair and maintenance carried out is transmitted to AIDFI.
It's an abrupt stop because there was another part. Not interesting for us. So, a few key figures on the slides now. It's very hard to find good data in the Philippines on water, really. Basic data lang, no? Wala kita. 60% of the Filipino households lack easy access, no? Or access to clean and potable water. 20 million people live in our mountainous areas, of which 10 million, at least 50% are engaged in subsistence farming, rain-fed. In far-flung areas, the rural poverty incidence rate is mostly above 40%. That's why there are government programs which specially concentrate on those. No? Also, the UST is present here, and the DA, they have special areas chosen for, which are very high in poverty incidence. Then, which is not on the screen, but what I learned last year in Fiji, or what was shocking from a presentation, and I checked it out, and it's true, but only 0.3% of the climate financing internationally goes to water. And climate change and effect of climate is all about water. How can we only spend 0.3%? So I've always found it an irony that many lowlanders or city dwellers blame uplanders for not protecting our resources. That the uplanders engage in charcoal making and logging, we blame them for them, no? They tend to forget that the demand comes from ourselves, from the towns and the cities. But how can we expect the uplanders to protect our water resources if they themselves don't have easy access? AIDFI, which stands for Alternative Indigenous Development Foundation, was founded in 1992 by 4 people, in which included myself, who had worked in an agriculture program for sugar workers and realized that with the absence of most basic services, especially in upland communities, there was a need for appropriate technologies. No? In Ilonggo, we call that santo. I don't know what is that in teknolohiya santo, no? Sa mga tao. And sa nature, but I don't know what's that in Tagalog, combined with sustainable agricultural techniques. As idealists, our vision was, that's in the next slide. Our vision was a society where technology and development systems exist in harmony with nature. Also now we always say nature and people, and serve as foundation of growth and sustainable development, where people share and live in abundance and happiness, and where there is peace, freedom, and equity. And I come back to the vision later on in relation to the Rampam systems, because, of course, when we had this vision, this covered much more than just the Rampam. Maybe for the younger ones among us here, it is hard to imagine, but when we started, there was no internet. Okay, sabi nyo, wow, 1985 siya, no? Pero in 1985, there was no internet. Computers were slow. We had already computers, but communication through letters was also slow. Long-distance calls and telegrams were very expensive, and transportation to Manila was also expensive and limited. I remember that when you go to the airport, lahat yung mga tao kilala mo, no? Mga lawyers, mga doctors, and the VIPs, no, of the island. But if you now go to Negros and you fly out, you don't know anybody in the plane, no, because everybody flies, no. So that has so much changed. On the island of Negros, where we are based, there were no opportunities to do any research on technologies. Wala man sa may mga libraries with really technology books, which we could use for our work. The way we got some ideas and designs was requesting magazines and books from other countries. So sometimes you found in a magazine a book, you thought, well, maybe this is what we need, and then you order it very expensive. It would come after how many months through the post office, and it was exactly nothing inside what you could use, no? So those were the difficulties. In one of those magazines, we discovered the existence of a library on appropriate technologies on microfiches. So you had a microfiche, and all pages of that book would be there, and you could have it on a screen, black and white. Para langit, di ba, no? Langit sa Tagalog, no? Ma'am Monina, no? Di ba, Tagalog man, no? Parang langit, eh? When we got that, it contained 1,000 book on appropriate technologies. Imagine, no? For a researcher, suddenly we had everything on paper. Pero we could not print it out, and when you were looking at the screen black and white after an hour or 1.5, and you would try to stand, you were just like DC, no parang. So that's how we started. We rented a small bodega of less than 20 square meters. There was a sort of small garage attached, and with second-hand equipments, which we bought from a shop which closed down, we started experimenting and manufacturing of technologies for basic services for the poor. We developed different kind of pumps. No? So here is the assortment of technologies which we also designed, we adapted, and we manufactured, like a heavy-duty community pump, a pedal pump, or tapak-tapak, I think. Is that also Tagalog, tapak-tapak? Then rope pump for shallow wells, which is became very popular in Central America, not with us. And we can talk about that in the question and answer if you have questions about that. Then we constructed, we call ventilated improved pit latrines from ferrocement, a technology of wire mesh structure plastered with cement. This ferrocement technology is still very much applied by AIDFI in constructing structures for the ram pump water systems, like, for example, the reservoir. The VIP latrine didn't require any water. That was the purpose we built them, so water saving. Then pico and micro hydro for battery charging in mountainous areas where there was absence of electricity. Then biogas systems for small and medium-sized piggeries, a windmill for electricity generation, and several equipment for agriculture production and processing, and which includes the by AIDFI designed essential oil distillers. In the middle, the big one, that's a boiler. We designed that ourselves, and they are operating in 2 upland communities in Negros. But and they are, these groups are producing lemongrass and distilling lemongrass, but that would not have been possible if we were not able to pump up water, because you need water for the boiling, you need water for the cooling, and you need water for irrigation of the lemongrass. Then, of course, last but not least, the AIDFI model hydraulic ram pump, which has been there from the very start, some 33 years ago. Unless you will ask me questions about it later in the question and answer session, I won't delve into our agricultural activities with AIDFI, which evolved from formation of agrarian reform associations, trainings, actual production, to later a period of AIDFI selling some of their produce, mostly bananas and root crops. So we brought them from the mountains to Bacolod, no? And these were all bulky or high volume products. And then later we came up with the idea to try to reduce on transportation costs and create more value for the produce. No? So that was production and processing in far-flung areas. So meaning from high volume, this is the story of the lemongrass, is a high volume, low value input. No, the grass is very bulky. If you bring it to the market, it's very cheap and it's costly. And we distill it in the community, produced in the community to a low volume, which is the oil, but with a high value, no? So transforming that. It became the production and processing of lemongrass. By the way, those factories were not possible, no? Like I said, if there were no ram pumps. So ram pumps will also open up possibilities for livelihood. Because of the many needs, AIDFI developed a lot of programs and technologies. We were like, it looks like a sari-sari store, no? For technologies. And you can't do all those things because the need for these technologies or the absence of basic services is huge in far-flung communities. So, pero siyempre, AIDFI is not a We are not Superman, no, that we can solve all problems. Nobody can do that. No? So from many of our visits and stay in the uplands, we got to know that water was the #1 challenge for the people. No? And with the great technology in our hands, which was the ram pump, we already had that in AIDFI, and the huge need for it, we decided to focus on the ram pump. The holistic work with the AIDFI ram pump now provides 85% of our work. So this is the transformation. All the technologies are actually waiting to be picked up by social entrepreneurs or small companies, whatever, that we can help them. In my opinion, also, you should focus on something, because that's the way also you really promote, no? If I would be telling, if the ram pump was just one of our things I would be talking about, it will not get its proper attention. So water problems. Lack of easy access to water creates big challenges for the households and the subsistence farmers. 20 to 40 liters per day, di ba? Big at, no? And if we have to carry that up 90 meters and you don't have much time in the morning or the afternoon, it will limit to 40 liters. That's what we see in the areas. For a family of, let's say, 5 persons. It's not enough, and this water shortage creates many difficulties. For the households, there are the health issues like waterborne diseases from unprotected sources, skin diseases caused by lack of bathing, and the issues related to carrying a heavy load, no, on the neck, on the spinal, and on the legs, no? Tatlo. Lack of sanitation. Many places where we enter, walang pang ram pump, so where they do it still manually, walang toilet, no? This creates extra problems for women and children because they have to go to the toilet outside in the evening, in the night. You know? They also tell us that they are scared to do that. No? Fetching water over a big elevation and long distance, not just height, but also a distance, takes a lot of time. And for those who can't fetch it themselves, like the elderly, they have to have the water delivered to their houses. From our challenge, Kaina, we can a bit imagine the time needed to collect the water and deliver it to a house far up, no? Far up in the mountains. In the morning, if there is not a single drop left in the, sir, how did you call that? This we call that the banga, no? How do you call that in Tagalog? Banga din? Yeah, banga. So in the morning when there is nothing left in the banga, no? Children are often requested to get some water. Kids have a different dealing with time and tend to play at the source or on the way. It happens many times that they are too late to go to school and have to skip classes, which of course affects their education. There are also many kids who go to school without taking a bath, not sometimes just one day not taking a bath, but several days. We find out those information now through studies we conduct, no? So there are really people who are not taking a bath every day. For us, it's common, no? Even 2 times a day. My daughter, siguro, 3 ka beses, no? Parang she does not have to watch the sari-sari store. Dito siya sa CR. In the video, we also saw women doing their laundry at the source, no? Pero how about if you have to bring it back up the hill when the clothes are wet, no? In the big container. Then without enough water, the villagers have no chance to grow vegetables or even flowers, no? Around their houses or raise some animals. This results in a lack of intake of nutrients. For the farmers who are dependent on the rain, so this is for irrigation, agriculture has now become even more riskier with the changing climate, no? No longer they can start plowing at the week of the year they were used to. My father-in-law was an upland farmer, and we always talked about the first week of May. That was standard. Halos nga may ulan na. Pero ngayon, hindi na, no? There is also the occurrence of sudden or prolonged droughts. Even those factories, we had this twice in one of those distillation areas. Even lemongrass hindi ma-survive. So complete wipe out of a crop is possible now with those droughts, and then spiraling the family into into poverty. Then the farmers do not have a chance to grow a second crop. We are talking about the uplands now, or diversify their farm with high-value crops. Irrigation with fuel or electricity pumps is not an option because of the high cost of energy sources. This situation doesn't make the farming profession attractive to the younger generation, and most of them leave to the towns or cities, leaving behind an aging farmers' population. Now, if you look at the internet, there are different figures, but it's between 63 to 65 ang edad sa mga farmers natin. No? So yung isa ka solution for those all those problems mentioned, which is just the lack of easy access to water, is the hydraulic ram pump. But there are also other kinds of energy sources for pumps, like electricity from the grid or from solar or fuel. And in the case of the ram pump, it's the power is water. No? Electricity from grid is expensive and not everywhere available, especially in remote areas nga wala pang electricity. If electric pumps have to bring water to a very high elevation, they often sunog, no? Very expensive to repair or to replace. If it's, for example, a project from the barangay, yung complaint nila with electric pumps is the high, of course, besides the high bill of electricity, is also that the pumps get easily destroyed. Sakit ulo nila ng mga kapitan. And then fuel pumps, on the other hand, have a limit for high deliveries and require expensive fuel. But it's not just the fuel which is expensive, but you also have to transport it now. Imagine you have, if you don't have a farm-to-market road or an easy access road where you can go with a motorcycle, you have to bring your gasoline like the way you bring water. It's also difficult and expensive now. Then solar has a high upfront cost. Repair and maintenance is mostly not in the hands of the villagers or farmers, and replacement of a solar pump, mostly the pump, is very costly. Then at high altitude, it is often cloudy, which affect the power generation. So even though it's high-tech and solar pumps can go very high, but there are difficulties with the solar. For us, as long as there is free-flowing water sources, and there's an available head to create power, because of course we need power from the water. That can only be if it's free-flowing, not water from below the soil. You need energy to pump it out. But free-flowing water has energy in it, no? Then for us, if there's free-flowing, then ram pumps are the best, no? But if that is so, why then this technology never really spread? We can make that a question now. Anybody an idea? There are literally hundreds of thousands of upland villages, not in the Philippines, but in the world, upland villages and farms, a lot of small farms all over the world, which could need a ram pump. Bakit wala siya nag-spread, no? Any idea among the audience? Sir? Yeah, anybody, of course. It's a technology which exists for exactly parang 254 years, no? The principle. Any idea? It's also related to my start of the story. Like, sige ma'am.
Meron na yata.
Okay. But that would be true for also other technologies, no? Yeah, of course.
But I came from the province.
Yeah.
So I felt the hardship of lack of
Yeah.
When I was young, I was born in the province, one of the provinces in the Bicol region.
Yeah.
I saw the people, the hardship, how they are fetching the water from the well and carrying like that shoulder to shoulder. And they walk kilometers, I think, or more, just to bring water to their homes. And the women are bringing their clothes to wash in the river, if not in the wells, because they have to fetch water using the coconut shell. Without the plastic before, they have to, the dipper, doing that, the dipper. So when I was young, I experienced that also, but at home already, because during vacation, we are in the barrios, because barrios or barangays. So I saw, even my relatives as well, how hard it is. And now, thanks for the new technology, present time, we already have the well, the deep well. We used to pump already, but before, no.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah. Salamat, ma'am, sa sharing. No? Anybody an idea on? We know solar, right? Or let's turn the question around. Who knew the ram pump before? Oh, sige, ma'am. No.
I know, I don't know about the ram pump. But we do have a community that we're supporting together with Ambassador Albert up in the mountains of Bamban, Tarlac. And the ITAs there, we electrified the village because we sent them to study solar energy. Now, your question is what is the problem? It's a common, it seems to be a simple technology. And we tried to do hydrological support to them because there's no water up there. I can only assume that one is getting water rights permission from government, which is a challenge to get because it's a different community. The water source is a different community as to the recipients. Second is a high cost of electricity. That's why we tried to use solar energy. So we might be partnering with you. Who knows?
Sige, ma'am. Salamat. No? Well, that's another issue. No, it's just not a technical intervention, right? There are more issues like MOAs to be made with landowners, and you know, it's not. And then we talk about communities and people with character, so it's not just technology, no. Anybody who really knows the answer, or ako na lang? Hindi. But I said that there was no internet at that time. That could be one of the reasons, di ba? Ngayon, many people, they can find videos on YouTube, even how to make your own do-it-yourself ram pump. But at that time, when we started, when YouTube was also not yet or coming up, you could hardly find anything on the ram pump. In engineering books, it was hardly also mentioned. We did presentations in the past in Mindanao with the whole room of engineers, with nobody having an idea what the ram pump is all about. So it's in my lecture, otherwise my head get completely mixed up naman, no? So let's keep it na lang for, where does it come? Yeah, it comes later, right? But it has something to do with difficulty of promotion, not knowing the technology. Where are we? Okay, so there are hundreds of thousands of villages and farms in the world now, but in the Philippines we have also thousands, no? Maybe not villages, thousands, but farms, uplands, we have a lot, no? So before I go on to the explanation of the mystery, what is actually a ram pump? Now, it's a device which utilizes, it's mentioned there, utilizes the energy contained in falling water to lift a portion of the water to much higher elevation. Actually, most water which runs through the ram pump, and this is also, some people say, it's wasting a lot of water. If you will look at the miniature later on, you will say it's waste, no, sayang, no? It's not using all the water. But it also has a benefit, no? If not all the water, you take it from a stream, but you return 90% of it, the people downstream also still have water. And then sometimes they fight over it. If somebody blocks, and this is from actual stories, when they block it with sandbags and they start pumping it out with a fuel pump and the rest is dry, that sometimes involves bolo, no? Mga bolo. Oh, totoo naman. It doesn't require any electricity or fuel, and it doesn't emit any greenhouse gases. No? Mostly we talk about CO2, but there is more in gases from fuel. So it is an environment-friendly technology. So still the question, no? Bakit wala nag-spread, no? When fabricated with local materials, so we're not talking about imported ones, and spare parts, and when it comes with technology transfer, it is a technology under the control of the beneficiaries. So these are some different kinds of ram pumps. The principle of the ram pump, I already said, was discovered some 254 years ago. But it had a wrong timing in history. It was invented in the Industrial Revolution when there was no concern for energy cost and environment. The more noisy and the bigger at the time, no, in the Industrial Revolution, that was impressive. No, walang concern sa environment. There were only a very few manufacturers, and one of those you see that's it looks like an antique one, but they are still being produced. They are oversized because nobody really had an idea of the pressure inside. No? So they just made it big and very strong. They were very heavy. And then, of course, very expensive. Promotion, of course, at that time was also very limited. No? Kaya ko, no? Little story outside the lecture na lang, no? Let's go on with this. Sandali lang, ha? This is how my mind works always, no? During the oil crisis in the 1970s, this is the second picture, some appropriate technology groups started to make their own models. This was, I think, the Iraq, like in the Gulf, there was a war, no, in the 70s, very high oil prices. Many of those do-it-yourself models can now be found on YouTube. So if you want to make one, it's fun. They are cheap, but inferior in quality and in performance. They can't lift to very high elevations. Mostly they remain below a lift of 30 meters. The one who makes a do-it-yourself is super happy if he can see it go up to 30 meters. They are okay for individual use. So if you have a small garden or farm or a whatever, a rest house, then it's fun to make your own, but you have to be prepared to spend time on the repairs. No? My own encounter with the technology, of which I never heard also before, was when in preparation of my coming in the Philippines, which was in 1985. No? I joined an appropriate technology group on a technical university in the Netherlands, which happened to experiment at that time in the water lab with a ram pump completely made from concrete. All the pipes, when you look at the ram pump later on, this is all modern materials. But this was a very old man in the Netherlands. He was living in an old factory. He was allowed to stay there and experiment with all kinds of technologies, appropriate technologies. And he developed that one. And I played around with that in the water lab and I was completely like blown away now by the idea, oh my goodness, you can pump water without any external energy, you know, pump up water with water. So that always remained in my mind, and I enjoyed working with that. But I met this guy many years later, and I thought he wanted to hear also our story with how many villages, and that the idea came from him, you know, and then how it evolved in the Philippines successfully. And he really put me down. He was sitting in that factory alone in the cold, with a big bird, you know, an alternative eccentric guy. And he didn't like the idea. And so, because we produce it, that is the crossbreed model, no, on the side. We produce that in a shop. It's centralized. His idea is that the technology is for the farmers, in order that they have control over it, that they should be able to produce it themselves. So that was his idea with the concrete pump. But then you cannot go higher than 30 meters. You cannot have a lot of water. And we go halfway. We think it should be produced. It should be high quality, should be produced locally, involving local skills, local materials, easily available spare parts. But once it is installed in the community, then the people start having control over it. So through technology transfer to the technicians. So nabangga kaming dalawa. I made my trip. I spent my own money to go to him. I was so excited and he was not. No. Anyway, when I joined AIDFI, I wanted to develop a crossbreed model based on local materials. So that's the blue one. Local spare parts and skills. But it had to compete with the commercial available models, this one. The guiding principle we used was, and this is also the guiding principle, actually this is a famous quote, but I like it too as a guiding principles for our technologies. I think it's about fashion or something, but anyway. The designer knows he has reached perfection, not when there is anything to add, but no longer anything to take away. Or, in other words, simplification of the technology, no? So with the idea that people or villagers in the far-flung communities can keep the technology in operation. The model we developed has a main spare part, as a door hinge as a main spare part, you see. Mura lang. So if we worked in Colombia or Afghanistan, the first thing we did was looking for hinges on the market, no? You want to know how the principle of the ramp pump works? I need the assistance from our IT. Limot ko ang imong ngalan, pero can you play it down? Yeah.
From the river, stream or spring, the water is delivered to the pump through a slanting pipe. The water is driven into the pump using simple gravity and closes the waste valve, creating a high pressure. The water then travels vertically through the pump body, opens the delivery valve, enters the pressure chamber and compresses the air in the column. The compressed air then forces the water back, closing the delivery valve. All the time, water then flows up through the delivery pipe. Then the pressure falls in the lower part of the pump and the waste valve opens, allowing the water again to flow down the drive pipe. The wasting valve closes once more, the delivery valve opens and the cycle starts again. It's repeated between 30 to 100 times a minute.
Very simple, no? You can find this in a video of AIDFI on YouTube if the animation is in the BBC video. It was a very short cycle, no? How many times it does that? And then in half second or 1 second is a complete cycle of many actions. Even the water in the pipe which feeds the ramp pump goes up and down in that cycle. No? Imagine in 1 second what's happening inside. So if you have to explain that, it takes a lot of time, but in actual it's very short. So I don't need to explain that later on, no? So I have done that already. For the miniature, this is a typical setup. This is about drinking water. The source can be a spring and will then be protected by a spring box, no? Or an intake structure, from where the water is brought to a drive tank and to which drive pipes are attached with, at the end, a ramp pump. Does it has a pointer or? It has a pointer? No. You can imagine that, no? Okay, yeah. This is the spring box. This is a sort of diversion pipe. This is the drive tank. This is the drive pipes, and then the ramp pump is inside a concrete box. And then it leads up to a reservoir on the highest point in the village. The size, we make them in different sizes depending on how much water we deliver. We don't build, wala man taga DPWH or ngayon, basi ma-insult o balahaw. No, but there are many tanks we see in communities, not just DPWH, no, pero which are oversized. And then if you look in the tanks, mahalos walang tubig, no. So sayang sang pera. So we should really make them of the correct size. And then from there, through a manifold, the water is distributed to clusters of households, mostly 10. With Coca-Cola, we do an average of 10, no? And then we bring them to tap stands or a water kiosk. I will be talking about the water kiosk also. We use good quality pipes, HDPE. With contractors, for example, you think those are also black pipes, but there are many commercial ones, halo-halo now, recycled materials inside, and they start bursting now. So we only use very good quality materials which can withstand the pressure. This, but there are also other designs possible. For example, if there is no direct head, because you need the head to run the pump, no? Because the energy has to come from somewhere. If you have, for example, a cascading river where you don't have an immediate drop of 1 meter, because that's the minimum we need, then over a distance, if you, of course, over a distance, the river goes down, no? Let's say over 100 meters, you have a height difference of 1 or 2 meters. So you can create a diversion pipeline along the river bank and then build this tank. So then there would be a diversion pipeline here, a long one, and then you have this one, and then immediately a drop for the ramp pump to operate. But this is the technical. Let's go to holistic approach around the ramp pump to really sustain its operation. Okay pa kamo? Because it's a long lecture now. They say the attention span of young people is very short now, no? Pero and those coming today are not the typical young ones. No? With the availability of the internet and people discovering now the ramp pump, this resulted in many trying their luck with the technology. For those who think they can make money with fabrication and installation of systems, they get or got disappointed on the way, because it's not, it looks so easy. If you look at the animation, you look at the pump, some people say, especially engineers, isa lang ka valve, no? It's only a door hinge lang, no? Wala naman, no? And then when they make a ramp pump, they get into trouble, no? And they only concentrate on the technology. It looks simple, but making good quality ramp pumps and keeping it in operation is not that easy, especially considering the remoteness of the sites. I'm going to Abra on Sunday, so I have to go early because in the afternoon it's raining, and then it's very hard to go up now there. And I got pictures from the howling, because we bring all our materials for a whole installation to a site as far as we can go with the wing van from Bacolod. And then it had to be moved by a tractor, sometimes by caballo or tao. And then I got a picture that the tractor was, you know, completely turned upside down in the mud. No? So the ones who are in fabrication and installation limit themselves to the technology. For them, a project is successful when the pump starts delivering water on top of a hill, and possibly if the barangay captain or who else funded it sets a signature on the paper, no, okay na, no? So it works when they leave, but it's not sure if it keeps on working. AIDFI realized very quickly that the social component is equally important as the technical. Fabricating a high-efficient ramp pump means nothing if it stops operation. Diba, zero efficiency. Some people say nga, ano ka efficiency ang imong pump, no? They just want to show off their knowledge or something. Like, parang, I don't care also, but taas man ang efficiency, pero kung wala ka trabaho, walang zero ang efficiency, di ba? For AIDFI, the most important is to create sense of ownership and control over the technology. AIDFI not only applies innovation in the technology, but also in the social preparation process. It applies a holistic approach, or what we call, it has to be an end-to-end solution from, what do you call that? From crypt to grave? Not grave, because then it will die, the technology will die, no? Pero end-to-end solution to keep it working. This entails the following. No, I'm just reading what you will see on the slides. Setting up of water associations that includes registration with DOLI. That's the easiest way, no? Better than co-op. Introduction of associations to local government and government agencies. The associations are not barangay associations. They are not under the government structure, but it's also not the idea to be, you know, politically or whatever against the barangay or the town government. Ginapaintindi namin that it also makes their life easy, because water projects are a headache for example, for barangay captains or barangay councils. It costs them a lot of money, all those repairs. And masyado ka maraming reklamo, no? O reklamo, no? That's everywhere, mga reklamador, mga marites, no? We can form associations for them. Legal documents, so it has to be, ma'am, it has to be legally documented, parang sigurado, because somebody who says, okay lang ng pipeline can pass through the farm, and then it seems he was not the owner, or there are many heirs, and we encountered all that, no? We also collect baseline data. That is, we are for a long time in ram pumps, but this is quite new. It's super interesting. Participation of the beneficiaries in hauling already and the construction for the sense of ownership, like what I said, no? So parang wala nang dole out. They just receive the project at the end. If there is any small gasket, even 20 pesos to be repaired, they run to the mayor or they run to the barangay captain, and they don't do anything themselves, no? Parang they don't feel it's theirs. So we changed that through participation of the beneficiaries from the very start. Selection of local village technicians, and also an official turnover. For the technical part, we of course construct, fabricate the ram pump in Bacolod and all the components, transport them, and then a team of AIDFI stays in the community for around 2 months. It's also, that's also part of creating sense of ownership, because they stay with mostly with the family. And of course, in 2 months, you don't just talk about a ram pump. Tapos na no? You talk about other kinds of things which happen through the ram pump or the life of the farmers. And yung mga technicians namin are not engineers, no? They are, well, they perform like engineers, but they are all from the ground, from the grassroots. So yung langwahe nila, not literally, but yung langwahe nila is like those of the poor uplanders. It also includes our new mechanical water kiosk. That actually it has a story with the Ayala Museum. I will, if we have time, I will talk about that a little bit. Sabi nila kapon, have you been to the Ayala Museum? And I was outside. I think I have been here naman. Mamunina, we were here, no, with the DTI, diba, no? That was in the Ayala Museum, no? It was very hard during the COVID. We joined the competition at that time. It was a new invention of AIDFI during the COVID period. So we developed the water kiosk. Is it further on somewhere? Yeah. No. And then we decided to join the contest of the DTI for Good Design Award. And then sabi nila, how big is you're one of the finalists, how big is the water kiosk? And so it's like a big cabinet and it's heavy. And they said, no, that can't be in the Ayala Museum. And it's water, no, right? And they don't want water in the museum, and in hotels they never like that, of course. So, and I insisted, because I knew they would have tables like programs, processes, anything, no? Designing can be anything, architectural or a prototype of small things. And we had this huge kiosk, and I said to the organizers, the unfair naman if ours is not there and you just have a picture, we don't make a real chance. So nag-insist ko, pero it was COVID. You could not even come in with a truck here near the Ayala Museum, no? So nag-push kami, and we really made it, and so manalo man kami. And then somebody from Japan was there, and then we also got an award for that water kiosk. Later naman. Also part of the technical installation is training of local technicians and tuning of the system. So parang we open it completely, no? Walang sikrito. We always say that we don't keep any secrets. Then monitoring, continued monitoring through a mobile app, because we have 602 villages, and all over the Philippines, in half of the provinces already. It's of course financially and organizationally impossible to visit them, no? Even on a yearly basis. That would drain all your funds. So we collect data from them through a mobile app. So we keep in touch, of course, through mobile phone. And then we get basic data on how much water we deliver. We had to do that, by the way, because the program we were running with Coca-Cola was all about how much water is being delivered. You know, that was the idea of water offsetting, so that had to be quantified. Then also fees collected and repairs and maintenance undertaken. So in that way, we have an idea of the system. Then later, this was also, for the last 2 years, we start collecting impact data. So we have an app, or we use M-Water for that. It's, what do you call that, a free program. And we collect the baseline data from the community when we enter the project, and 6 and 12 months after. I will show a few graphs, not that too much science, but simple information. Then we also support the organization, the water associations, technically, even with financial backstopping, if they like, if they need, and if they like, no? Sabi nyo, okay pa kamo, no? Innovations around the ramp pump. Innovation is in the DNA of AIDFI. We are constantly looking to innovate our technical and organizational aspects to make the operation and the management of the systems even more sustainable. On the technical side, we had encountered the tearing of rubber gaskets in the pump. Those are flexible black gaskets. Delivering to high elevations creates a lot of pressure in the pump. Imagine, sinong medyo may engineering background sa atin, ma'am? If we have a pump which pumps up to 200 meters, we have 20 bar, no? Imagine, on our, we open the gripo, the maximum is something like 2 bars, I think, no? 2.5 bars allowed. And then this is how much more, no? 20, or that's 200, no, 20 bars, no? Times 13 for PSI. So there's a lot of pressure in the system. So we had problems with those gaskets. When the bolts are not equally tightened, and because of the constant impact, the pump is steel to steel, and the ramming, which you saw, the how many cycles, no, every second there is a banging of the pump. So these bolts are loosening up if they are not equally tightened, and then the gasket can be blown out of the between the two steel plates. This results, of course, in leakage. We then developed sturdy gaskets from recycled Coca-Cola cups. The Coca-Cola factory in Bacolod happens. We work with Coca-Cola Foundation for so long, but the Coca-Cola factory is actually nearly besides our shop, and we got the recycled cups, no, in big volume actually. And we developed the small, everything we do is small scale for recycling, no. So we recycle the small cups into these kinds of gaskets. They are very sturdy and they are not affected by what I explained a while ago. Then we added a water top filter that's on the right side. We don't believe in centralized filtration. Only the part of water we drink we filter. That's cheaper, and it's also more, if you put it on the household level, people are taking more care on their own thing. No? This if the budget allows, but with Coca-Cola projects, I don't know since when, but for many years already it's in part, no, of the program. So every household, if they follow criteria, if they are active in the installation and trainings, etc., so then they receive a tabletop water filter. This makes the water, of course, safe to drink. In the past, this is the story of the water kiosk. The top stands, we just had concrete posts with a grippo and a faucet, and this was also for clusters of households. But there was unfair distribution and also technical issues now of kids turning the faucet the wrong direction or whatever. And we also had difficulties in collection of monthly fees. At that time, the collection was on an agreed amount of fee per month, no, on the association. The lowest in Negros, imagine, 30 pesos per month, no? Wala sila, and then when the treasurer goes around, they say next month na lang. Pero para sa rum o kung para sa sigarilyo, walang problema, no? Kung papunta sila sa sari-sari store, ayos lang, biskang utang pa, no? Pero 30 pesos mahirapan, no? So that gave problems, and so what I said was during the pandemic we developed this water kiosk. It had to be, I don't explain that portion, but the one we made a kiosk before which was solar operated. Very complicated, many mechanical parts, many electronic and electrical parts, and which was not following our design principle of simplification. We had a lot of troubles in the mountains. And those parts have to be ordered by Lazada, you have to find out what parts, etc. So what we did during the pandemic, when we could not easily move out of the shop, we still did, but because once you are in the community, we could stay there for 2 months. Wala nang problema, wala mang COVID dito sa bundok. Kasama kami ni... I did a survey during that time, parang no may lockdown ang airport sa Cagayan. I was still fetched by Piñol at the time when we went to a production area. Lahat mga tao wala nang ng mask, eh. Sabi nila wala man COVID sa amin, no. Preska ang hangin. So once we were in the area, okay na kami, no. Walang problema. We could do installations, but how to go there with the trucks and with the and traveling was the issue. But for this shop, we decided to develop a alternative to this problematic solar kiosk. We followed again our basic design principle of robustness and simplicity. The main spare parts are not door hinges, but a mechanical coin acceptor. This one, no, is like the one in a gumball machine, no? You put a coin and you get something. How do you call that? And inside a rubber flap from a toilet. No, it's not nice to say that because a water kiosk. Eh? Yeah, correct, ma'am. Exactly. The principle is the same. We had to do a lot of redesigning in the movements and how to connect the gumball. That was the. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah. We used also a floater, and the same as in like in the toilet to control and to calibrate it to 20 liters. Because what it does is you put in a new peso coin. We get the gumball coin acceptors from China. We made them on the thickness of a new peso coin and the diameter. So you the walang daya, no? The daya, no, di ba, no? Yeah, the one that is in the laundry shop right now. Yeah. Yeah, coin upper. Yeah, I mean, hindi pwede. I have it with me, I think. I'm not siguro. Basta may token ako. We also made the token the same thickness and the diameter. Because for some explanation lang, no? If you install such a mechanical water kiosk, and the standard is 1 peso. So if you look at it, it works like sigarilyo. Kaya mas dako yung bayad sa mga tao. How many containers they get per day now? Because we deliver more than 10 times the volume they were used to get. So pero they are excited. So they throw in 10 pesos per day. Wala man kaso, di ba? They get coins. And they have coins and they throw it in. So if you count that per month, they are paying much more. Pero hindi naman, the money doesn't disappear because it goes to the association and it benefits them, so in that way. But it works like sigarilyo, di ba? No? You don't buy a pack which is cheaper, you buy per piece. So that's how it works. Yeah, what I wanted to say about the token. So later we also decided to make a token because the water kiosk basically is also open for non-members. So you have the association with its members and they get from there. But you can also have people who are not a member in the village. They are also allowed to take. So walang benepisyo for the members except for whatever is given by the association outside the kiosk. Pero hindi cheaper yung tubig. So on the other side, if we pump up enough water, let's say we pump up 10,000 or 20,000 liters, and then through the kiosk we are dispersing only, let's say 7,000 liters, and the tank overflows because there is no fuel involved. It operates 24 hours. So gaawas yung tangke namin. So sayang, no, if that's the case. So then we said, if sobra yung tubig, you can use the token and then make it for the own members of the association. For example, pesos, dalawang ka token. So salapi na lang, no, 50 centavos per container. So that would then be the benefit for the members. Ang outsiders, piso pa rin, no? Where are we? Okay pa ka mo? Sige, we already set the part on the award in the Ayala Museum. Okay na, no? Coca-Cola Foundation, which is present today, funded 219 mechanical water kiosks. Those are not a few thousand pesos. Those are costly, no? Even though AIDFI makes them as cheap as possible, but there is stainless basins inside, so you cannot avoid it. It still has a cost. And we installed them as replacement for the public stop stands, which were giving us problems, in already 26 villages. Earlier, we already developed the monitoring up. Water associations were trained in the use and signed a contract for the mobile phone they received. Considering the remoteness and the spread of all the ramp pumps all over the country, what I already said, it is hard not to have contact with them on a regular basis. So we use the monitoring up. There is no picture on the slide, but AIDFI has lately greened its production. We have now a 42 kilowatt solar, what do you call that, grid connected solar system, meaning we also deliver or the kilowatts we delivered, what we are not using is also balanced to our bill now. So our production is green also now in terms of electricity. These are the two main or vital points in the sustainability. So that are the water associations, no, and people, no, and then the kiosk for the financial sustainability. Kung wala man pera, even you have a nice association, and you sit down there every month, pero you cannot pay your local technician, siguro the system will stop operating. Why na? Makapoy na yung mga local technicians sa mga marites, no? Kung walang local allowance, no? Kapoy. Kapoy, no? Pagod. Pagod, no? Sige. The water associations and the kiosks play a vital role in the sustainability of the ramp pump systems. During the social preparation, AIDFI assists in the formation of a water association. I already said, no? They were registered with the DOLI. Especially women highly need and value water. And that is reflected in the fact that around 70% of from all our associations, no, that's the average, 70% of the officers are women. The idea of AIDFI is that the provision of water and the form of organization triggers further development, like a domino effect. It's not just bringing water to the house and then solving the water problems, but also that it creates through the associations other forms of cooperation, development, and care of each other, no, in the community. The kiosk ensure a steady flow of income. Isip sila pera, no, pesos. And from the experience of the installed kiosk, the collection increased by 3 to 4 times compared to the monthly fee which they had to go around all the households before. No? Sometimes the treasurer, no, they have allowances, but of course the local technicians need a monthly allowance. Kaya imagine if you have to go down every time, then there is trouble. Mareklamo ang tao, no? In action naman ang mga marites, no? Yun, pagod, no? You also need funds for repair and maintenance, also expansion of the system, because when we come in, the system is limited. When other people around it in the perimeter, they will see that there is what are the benefits. They also want to get connected. So if much as possible, the association should pay itself for this kind of expansion. Then the normal operational expenses of an association. Then livelihood, no? The ones who are more advanced, the water associations, and they have a very good collection, there are also other forms of livelihood being initiated by the water association. So these are just some terms, but this is all related to this triggering of further development. Of course, the associations are not just talking about water, but with the presence of women, of course also men, elderly and youth, other challenges or wishes in the communities are discussed. Of course, hindi lang tubig lang every meeting ang ila istoryahan, no? So all the other challenges in the community, because they are now gathering together, is being discussed. During the implementation phase of the project in nearly all communities, the Bayanihan system, we have another term for that in Negros, it's Dagyao. Siguro in Bicol, mayroon ngalan for another local name for Bayanihan, but we have it all over the country, di ba? No? Those a well-known system all over the world, no? But it was nearly faded away because of individualism, and then we don't need the help of others that much. So, kung sa Ilonggo naman, nagdula, ano nang faded away, wala na. It is being reintroduced during the implementation phase and applied for activities later on after when we leave. For example, by the association in major cleanups of, for example, the reservoir or any things which come up in their mind, no? So, but we gathered, I will talk about a bit later on, a little bit. We gathered nearly 80 water associations in summits, 8 different summits in Bacolod. So we heard all these stories from them, no? That was lately. Very, very interesting. Okay, this reintroduction of the Bayanihan triggers cooperation and care and other positive developments. And they are all there now. Easy access, medyo repeat ko, pero anyway, it's important and it's really happening. Increased volume of water, which creates resiliency at the household and farm level, and even in the village. In contradiction to the mostly dole-out projects, which were very normal in the communities, that's sometimes also very hard, no? When you come in, they look initially at you. Mostly those are the men, no? You can see them sitting somewhere on the outer circle. The women are coming close. That is the first orientation pa lang. So the women are getting closer because they really need water, so they are very interested. Pero there's a lot of, they are cynical about a project, no? They just think that you are another contractor, no? In one way or another, parang, anong palpak, anong failed projects. Now, there are a lot of failed projects, especially water in, there are a lot of promises, for example, by politicians, and especially during elections, that they will bring up water. They deliver some very cheap commercial hoses, they drop them, and then people vote for them, and they never come back, no? So maraming na-experience ang tao, so they also have that fear when you come in. So you have to prove that you have a different concept of holistic approach ownership by the people themselves. So the beneficiaries are then proud to be called owner of the system and organization. It really boosts their self-esteem. The longer the association works, the more you feel also that they know to do their story and to lobby for other developments. Actually, they go down. No? As said, elderly are equally participating in the association. In many villages, there are no health centers and or daycare centers, and the association is and feels empowered to lobby for that. No? So if you are just individual households, nothing happens, but if you are an empowered association, you dare to bring these issues up. No? The same is true for farm-to-market roads and electricity. Through participation and cooperation, there is more understanding and even social control. This is the Bayanihan system. There is again this social control, no, not really like control. I'm controlling you, but you know what's happening everywhere. No, that's why the cities, in many cases, with a mix of people, you don't have this social control anymore. No, so maraming mga problema. Pero in villages, that is still very effective. So that results in a better peace and order. Through the alternative or additional livelihood, there are less environment-destructive activities because busy na sila with things they can do with water in and around the house or on the farm. So destructive environment or environment-destructive activities like charcoal making or illegal logging, that diminishes. I will show that or prove that in a graph. Many associations planted or planning to plant trees in watershed areas. Kaya alam na nila kung the water will disappear, wala naman sila tubig and they have to go back to bringing up the containers. The improved production, lapit na lang siguro, hindi pa. The improved production and or diversification on farms combined with the ramp pump installation makes the farmers feel proud. Imagine if you have a ramp pump, like my father-in-law before, that was one of the first ramp pumps I built, 50 meters high pumping. Every day he went down to the small stream. And then yung kamot niya, ang kamay or the hand of my father-in-law, really a farmer, and then he tried to clean every time the front part and just touching it. We always say also to the technicians when we gather them, simply imagine the local technicians go down, for example, 100 or 150 meters, and then they are alone there, and when the may character yung ramp pump, that's what we say. When we fabricate it are steel plates. They are not living, but for us it's something we have to take care of. Parang, what is it? It has a character, batasan kung sa Ilonggo, no? So, sabi namin to the technicians, or we ask them, are you talking to the ramp pump? Mahiya man na sila pagsabi, pero marami sila, istorya sila sa ramp pump, no? Parang, in order that it will continue to give water. My father-in-law was always talking to the animals, also to the soil, to everything. No? Parang may connection siya. Okay, so it makes them proud, no? Talking about that area where we have this lemongrass factory, for example, the people were used to go, when they go down to even to the highway, not so far away, they smoke these local cigarettes, no? Tobacco in a leaf. We call that from the lomboy, the buhat, no? So they smoke it if they are in the mountains, but when they go down, mahiya sila, they put it in their cup, no? And then tago nila, and then they buy cigarette, no? So parang mahiya sila sa sarili nila. Pero with the developments in the Water Association or having a technology like a ramp pump, which nobody has, that really makes you super proud, no? So parang may self-esteem sila. And of course, we heard that it's not easy. Now, if we said it's not attractive, those farms, 5 minutes? Sige padalihan ko. So when the young ones in that situation of nga walang tubig, they are not interested. But we heard stories that the young ones are again staying in the community. Best may tubig na, it becomes lively again. And then of course the associations can partner with other organizations. They are empowered to do that. Ma-increase lang ang akin speed. The increased volume of water reverses most of the problems which were mentioned earlier on in the presentation. So it is a repeat, but it is reversed. So kids no longer skip classes for water fetching. They are no longer bullied at school for smell. No more waterborne diseases, 0, because of the water filter, 100%. And lessened skin diseases, only the ones which are water-related. Time and money saved in fetching. Laundry is now done near the houses. Health and sanitation improves. And then we have the empowered women, especially women and communities. We increase the volume of water by 10 times. For the farms, it means increased food production and or therefore income, additional crops and diversification, contribute to food needs of a growing population. We need also to consider the uplands as very important. Nobody cares. We always think that the food needs to be grown in the lowlands, but that's not true. There's a huge potential in the uplands if we take it serious. More people, young people engaged in farming, decreased migration, therefore, from rural to urban, increased income by 2 to 3 times if this is applied. And then the households raising animals. For the environment, less destructive environment activities, I said, illegal logging and charcoal making. So, and also the communities being more aware of being in harmony with nature, no? Para may environmental awareness na sila. Quick lang, impact to date, 602 villages. That's not since yesterday, that's over many years, no? Pero marami, no? Benefited some 302, but it's like Ma'am Joy said, 303,000. 70% of the officers I already mentioned are women. The system, this is a nice one, pumped up over time, and they're still running. All those are running today, pumping up 54 billion liters of water without any external energy. This is equivalent to 21,600 sino swimming sa mga Olympic size swimming pool, no? 21,600. That's what we pumped up. Very quick, otherwise 5 minutes, 4 minutes na lang, no? 4, amat-amat lang. So these are all slides. We started doing this after, in the past, we could dream basically nearly all those benefits. I can sum them up. You can wake me up. I can tell you them. All of our staff can do that. But we never had this scientifically backed up. So when we, for example, enter a contest or we have to tell our story, then where is your proof that this is all happening, right? So we started, it just happened also before and after COVID in that period, that we joined a accelerator program with the Miller Institute in Santa Clara University. And together with the professor, we developed a survey form for impact data gathering. This was the first test. This is one installation. This was the very first test. And it is nicer now in terms of improvements, but it was like the ram pump. I said it blown me completely away. I knew all this, but it was still so impressive to see that on paper in a period of only 6 months. Monthly income of association increased by 3 times. This is in this particular association. This is, I think, on Guimaras. Consumption of water association members doubled from 80 to 160 liters. Double. Elderly and children hardly involved in fetching anymore. Time spent for water fetching went down from 1 hour to 10 minutes. Cost of water retrieval went down from 2,400. Some people spent really a lot of money in the mountains for water. Imagine 2,400. In the city, we already complained 250 flat rate, 2,400 to 30 pesos average per month. Number of toilets increased from 29 to 36. In a period of 6 months, 7 houses built their own toilets. Skin diseases went down from 10 to 0 in the previous months, 10. Diarrhea cases in the 6 months went down from 10 to 0 because of the water filter. Number of households growing vegetables increased. Oh, this is not the right. From 28 to 3, that's not possible. Parang 30 plus. So that increased. Average income from yields went up. This is a big one, from 3,200 for yield from farms, 3 times to 9,600 pesos per month in a period of 6 months. Number of households engaged in charcoal making went down from 10 to 3. 3 minutes pa, no? Last page. Besides the 180 rural projects funded by Coca-Cola Foundation, sino may idea nga that Coca-Cola has done so many projects in the uplands of Philippines? No, seriously, sino may idea that they are doing that? No, nobody, no? Parang, bakit, Ms. Monina, why are you so low profile for this? Imagine, over since 2012, we did 180 villages complete with Coca-Cola Foundation. Kung sa Ilonggo naman, hipos-hipos lang, no? Pero trabaho talaga, no? We transformed, through Coca-Cola funding, 130 lives in upland communities, no? It's a big part of our total. And a new holistic program on non-revenue water has started with AIDFI in urban areas in Negros. There's a connection with Maynilad because we had already a training. We started working with 2 water utilities, and this is another story. So, for the uplands, we pump up water. They are completely waterless. But in the cities, I think Maynilad will do its own story here. I think the losses were something like 70% before. So all the water you're bringing, all the water you're treating, and then 70% will get lost. Imagine how much I saw pictures on how much gets lost in Tondo. Halos maraming walang connection pero walang bayad, no? So this is also a very interesting field for AIDFI. It's new because we were used to go to the mountains. Now we also go to water utilities. The ones very interesting and where we can reach huge improvements are those under the LGUs, not the water districts, because they are very active in being very modern with digitalization. Like we work with one is, congrats sa Ayala that how hard they work on that. Pero the ones on LGUs can be very much improved, and we can do a lot of water saving, meaning not the price of water as effect can go down because that's not also allowed and not easy, but the water is being saved can be used for expansion because we have water shortage in many communities. No? 2 minutes pa, no? I have only 1 minute na lang. Sige, kalma lang. He's so worried, no? Okay na. Where are we? Last na. Lately, AIDFI organized 8 batches of water summits with 3 representatives from water associations from the Visayas attending. Only the Visayas. Luzon, Waipa, ang Mindanao, wala pa. Hopefully next year with Coca-Cola funds, we will organize that also. A very rich experience for them in AIDFI. These are the water associations which received ramp pumps. So, lahat yung mga experiences nila dito na we put them in the rooms together at AIDFI. The enthusiasm to further work on building climate resilient villages through their associations was captured in commitment signing. So every end of the summit, they would we would summarize the commitments they made themselves. And they, in like ceremony, they signed up for that. A lot is on, for example, planting and protection of watersheds. So they are willing to protect our sources. They are committed, what I said, to the water resources and have an improved relation with nature and their co-villagers. That's also a part which they express in the commitments. So, what can all of us? This is my ending lang, no? What can all of us commit to do our part in water saving and which is already done, for example, by Maynilad, no? Maynilad, by trying to reduce the leakages, no? To the saving of water. Or the water sharing through projects as done by Coca-Cola Foundation. So as a company, they do their part. It's really embedded in their program internationally, no? So water, electricity, and waste of Coca-Cola, that's all structured, it's institutionalized. So the question sa atin man, because you're also all here, what can we do? What kind of part can we do related to water? Sige, thanks for your attention. I hope it gave some insight or new ideas, new inspiration. Salamat. Wala na MC, pauwi na. Hindi pa.
And now we'd like to invite our audience members for a Q&A. So if you'd like to raise your hands, one of our ushers will approach you with a mic. We have time for a few questions before.
Sir, I just want to know, we just formed the Negros Occidental Chamber of Commerce. I'm here. Yeah, so I have many hats, sorry. So we're just trying to see, you've done a lot of work in Negros Occidental. What has not been reached among the 17 municipalities or 19 municipalities and component cities? What have not been reached? Which areas? So we can help you there.
Yep.
And if you're asking sa North Luzon, maybe we can talk about Tarlac area with the ITAS.
Yeah, I know in Tarlac area and Pampanga, there are a lot of indigenous. Mindanao, siyempre din.
Yes, yes.
Negros, there are still municipalities. Hindi pa masyado kami nag-penetrate. Northern Escalante, Tobolso, Calatrava, Ibi Magalona, mga pang northern.
Ilog area, Kabangkalan area.
Kabangkalan mayroon. A lot in La Castellana, Silay, Talisay.
So are you open to collaborations?
Oh, yeah, sure. Pero we have the whole infrastructure in place. If we need to do a project tomorrow, we can nearly move our whole infrastructure. Pero we don't have funds. That's the...
Well, we are a non-stock, non-profit organization, and we just started, literally. But we can probably partner,
Sure,
collaborate
always.
with other members of the
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah. You can have my calling card at the back, no? On the table. Salamat.
So, good morning, everyone. So, my name is John from the Rotary Club of Quezon City, Michoac. Actually, I'm from Sultan Kudarat po, like at the southernmost part, I think, of the Philippines. So, coming from Mindanao, I would like to ask, like, how do we start po? Kasi, logistically speaking, there would be difficulties since ayun nga po, there is no satellite or anything in Mindanao, and you haven't started there yet. So I'm just asking po if during the entirement of installation, would it require your team to be, kung sa Ilonggo pa, balik-balik dito sa Mindanao? So we would like to know how the entire process would be. Would it be just simply online for communicating data, or would it require also your team to go there, like in many dates?
Salamat. No, we did project in Sultan Kudarat. Doon, maraming nasa Mindanao. Sulu, even, mahirap. We had a installation team. Sayang naman because the NGO is no longer existing. This was Pasali. May taga Palembang. So I also went to Palembang dito. Walang problema saan yung mga mahirap ng mga remote areas. That's where the more remoteness, or the better, no? The more people also appreciate the water being brought up. So what we usually do, for example, we have an interest from Motorlight right now. They have a project in Bukidnon. So we start communicating through email. Then we try to get an idea on what's the water source. If they have engineers, how much is more or less the flow, what is the required volume, etc. But if sayang kung if we have mabalik-balik kami pa lang, and then sabi nila or hambal nila the source is like this or ibang source. And then we go there, and then though ikaw pa man, biskan ang pinakagamay nga ramp pump, hindi git pwede. Then you have to give bad news to them, and you come there, and then the people are all excited to receive water. Hindi pwede, no? So we have to discover if it's technically feasible. We have to gather through a surveyor. We keep the cost very low because that should not be an hindrance. So at cost lang. So somebody will go there, collect data on the flow, on the head, on the delivery height, and then more or less an idea of the community. Then we need to find a funder for it. So there will be a technical study made. You will know more or less how much water we can pump up. So that can be expected. So it needs, it meets the needs of the people or a farmer or whatever. And then if there is funds, we start with a social preparation. We also start manufacturing everything in the shop. And then the community facilitator will come there and prepare the community, all the legal documents and the things which I summed up. Hindi naman balik-balik. They need a place to stay that's also arranged for our technical team. And they will really stay there until it's finished. We come in with a big truck with everything loaded. So walang difficulty on Sultan Kudarat. Kung may sites ka, just let us know na. Thank you.
Yes, Sir Auke. Magandang umaga.
Magandang umaga po.
I'm Ed from Pepsi Cola.
Did you bring some Mountain Dew?
No, hearing about what Coca-Cola Foundation had done,
Yeah.
I'm not fond of soft drinks, but now I will, aside from water, drink Coca-Cola na.
Ayos.
Yeah.
See, Sir Ed is from, you're not
from the OST.
From the OST. You have to set the record straight.
Yes, we are partners. Anyway, my question is, would you like to give us an idea of how much is the technology, the ramp pump itself, and the cylindrical water tank in that PowerPoint that you have shown to us? How much would it cost for us to know so that we can have an idea of if Coca-Cola is not there to fund the project, maybe some people or Pepsi-Cola can fund the project. And another question is, what are the barriers in order not to have this technology in other areas, like especially the GDAS? Kasi unfortunately, kung sa government, there are lots of Koreans and Canadians na problema. Yung magkano Korean, kung wala akong komisyon, bahala ka na dyan, ganun. So, yun ang question ko. The cost and the barriers in having this technology promoted in many areas in the Philippines. Thank you.
Hindi ko masyado updated. I'm not sure if in the brochure the prices of the pumps. The pumps are rather cheap, but they are only a very small part of the whole system. If you look at the typical village system, maraming pa structures and cost of labor, etc. So it's not just a pump. The pump, the cheapest siguro is a very small one is 15,000 or something, and then the biggest, I think 75,000 or something. That's the pump alone, no? For the ferrocement, hindi ko na masyado ka alam na ang cost. I'm not making the technical studies na. I can give you later an idea, but then the group doesn't have anything on that, but I can answer that question. Pero ferrocement technology is like 3 times cheaper than concrete structures, the way they are made. Circular, we make them circular. Ma'am, technical question ulit, no? Circular because the pressure is everywhere the same. If you have a square tank, we concrete them. They are the walls are very thick because of the corners, because it wants to push the four sides away. And in the circular, you don't have that. So it's like 1.5 to 2 inches ang thickness, even the 100,000 liters. Siguro it's less than 200,000 or something pesos. The biggest reservoir, 100,000 liters. Huh? But I can give you specific figures, Sir Ed. The other question, the barriers. Basically, what we want to do is the fun part, which is it's sometimes very hard. Also, it can be dangerous. We also installed, for example, in Afghanistan, even in Sulu under difficult circumstances. Pero we find ways around that how to go about it. But the difficult part is to guarantee systems. For example, if it's projects with the government and there is bidding involved, then it's very hard to get the system going to you than to a contractor. And if you deal with the contractor, all the holistic issues are no longer there, and it's about profit and maximizing the profit. So it affects also the quality. So wala ka na guarantee on the system. So that's in general. What we prefer is to work with. This is the same for many development programs. You always have to look projects one by one. It's a big battle every time, especially now. And not that I have anything against it, but we had a project submitted to UNICEF. Just to give an idea, we had a project. Wala man taga UNICEF, no? Anyway, i-check ko always. May nagdisgrasya man ako sa presentation ko once. So for UNICEF, we submitted they have an innovation hub in Denmark. This is international. And they want to work with very innovative WAS approaches. And this, encoding, simply, you're proud of what you're doing with the group, but this is so innovative. It's a combination also of high-tech with mobile and impact data gathering, and an old existing technology is 250 years old, but it's under the control of the people. Pero then we try to work with people from Indonesia, from Pakistan, with Colombia, Nepal, and form a group, and then for the first time organize a international conference on Rampam, and to have a platform and learning so that they also try to look at the holistic approach, because they have problems in sustaining the systems technically, because those are organizational issues. So parang, and then you are really disappointed when you write it completely down and you're not selected. I don't know. I made a joke to the Dutch consultant we are working with. I said, I think they were looking for, don't feel insulted or whatever or hate, but I said, I think they are looking for women, a women-led startup where through AI and drones, agriculture products are being, delivered to communities in East Africa. So they are so specific in their funding opportunities and in their selection that you don't make a chance. We work with women, 70% is our, but we are not women-led. We are not a startup. We don't have AI. We don't have drones. But again, that's the trend right now in development. If you have AI, if I would involve AI, we might have a lot of funding, or we use drones as a gimmick incorporated in the program. You know also how it works, no? So that's the frustrating part when for funding, sourcing of funding. Ang pinaka-barrier. We could do much, much more if funding would not be a issue for us. We have a lot of ideas, and there are so many communities. If, for example, the Philippines wants to reach the SDG 6, because they have committed themselves to that. They can't reach that if they don't go to the uplands. And the ones who are in the uplands is Aid Foundation, on a daily basis, trying to do its best to deliver water to waterless communities, where there is no other technologies which can do that. So they need us, but why are we not, being recognized also and make it easier for us? So parang those are my struggles for, I've been in this for 40 years, so those are the biggest barriers. For the rest, we solve things even over a period of time now. We have enough innovativeness in our group. Is that okay na, yung more or less?
Good day po. I'm Winnie Ann M. Carnejo from the Rotarac QC Mediatek. So I'm just curious about the repairs since our country, the Philippines, especially the mountainous regions, often experiences calamities because we are located in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Therefore, if a calamity hits and damage the kiosk or the pump projects at their sites, would the locals or villagers be oriented beforehand to have the capability to repair the kiosk or pump projects on their own? Or would they need to contact engineers or technicians available for the repairs?
Yeah,
Thank
good,
you.
very good question. No? Kaya very vulnerable ang Pilipinas sa mga calamities, not only related to climate change, no, but there are a lot. And we also experience those. Luckily, those funded by Coca-Cola Foundation, once there is a calamity, immediately they will ask us if if the systems were affected, and they dispatch us. That's the working relationship we have with them. With the typhoon before, which one was that in Negros? 3 years ago, the heavy one, no? The typhoon. Anyway, no. Oh, that, yeah. So there were a lot of systems affected. So then, yeah, the associations are capacitated, and of course the technicians know very well because they were there during the installation, so they know also how to repair. But if there are issues like in Bohol, we had the earthquake also many years ago, that there were really pipes, doubled, and then they need an investment and change the pipes. Then we also come in. That's what I said. If we are needed or we are requested, then AIDFI also does the technical backstopping. So we all then do that together with the association. So yeah, there are also through flooding. Sometimes there's a lot of water, and if your ramp pump is, even though you have placed it with that in mind, the extreme situations can destroy structures, no? So but we try to find ways, and the beneficiaries are very much involved. Iban?
I'm sorry. Sir, good afternoon. My name is Doms. I'm a tour guide. And just a follow-up to her questions about the disasters about the Philippines. Sir, why do you choose the Philippines? It's actually because you came from Europe, right? In Netherlands? I know.
Na exchange kami ni Digong dito sa.
So you should be in YouTube now and then making a lot of comedies. And then, what is so special about the Philippines? Maybe the Philippines being so resilient, and based on historical account, we are under so many rules from so many timelines. And apparently, in your heart, why do you think you invest your life from the 1980s onwards, maybe until 10 or 20 years from now? Why Philippines, sir? Why not Nepal or some other Asian countries? Well, because you are one of the happiest people in the world. Probably that's one of the reasons.
I didn't write my book yet, pero
maybe you found
maraming mga stories, pero just in short, I don't know who asked me if I'm an engineer. I said, yeah, but don't laugh if I say, yes, I'm an engineer, but before when I had a room full of engineers, and I would say, I'm a marine engineer. Yes, they started laughing. Kaya hindi naman tunay nga tuong engineer because you're smelling in the engine room, di ba? Or you have your fingers and your nails dirty. So that's not our interpretation of an engineer. But so I am a marine engineer, but I only sailed for 2 years on Dutch ships, actually all over the world. Indonesia, Japan, also Philippines. I stayed here for 3 weeks. We couldn't unload, so I saw the Philippines. I also met Filipinos after. So it's a mix of coincidence, But I decided at the age of 22, after seeing those and growing up in a social active family, to dedicate my life to the poor. So, hindi na bigat, don't take it heavy. No? So, it gives fulfillment. That's not a sacrifice or something, but it gives fulfillment. So I made a decision to work for the poor. And then I chose the Philippines, and that had circumstances, and I met Filipinos. I was on board with Filipinos, listening to the stories. I saw the Philippines myself. So it became the Philippines. Yes, it could have been Nepal, maybe, but I'm here.
So, good afternoon. I'm Debbie. I'm formerly from the DPWH civil engineer. And now, I'm with DOT. I'm working
My
as
mistake,
a tour guide.
no?
No, thank you. It's just a simple question. How many percent of funds in your project comes from the government? Because you didn't mention. I just saw the Coca-Cola Foundation or maybe some international foundation funding this project. But I'm curious if the government is really funding your project.
You have the national programs, and you have, for example, the LGUs. During the time we got to know Coca-Cola, that was around, actually we met at the Ramon Magsaysay, Ma'am Cecile, I think we met at the Ramon Magsaysay Foundation office when I was in Manila for the ceremony things. We didn't start the project yet, but we met there and talked about it. So since 2012, that was also the same time that the Bureau of Soils of the DA was looking for or identifying the technologies they wanted to use for small-scale irrigation using renewable energy. And so I talked about the ram pump. I brought the miniature. They were in Negros at the time for a meeting to decide on that. And then so they asked, can you do a lecture? And so we did a small lecture on the technical side. And so they decided to incorporate. They had the windmill, they had the solar, and then they added the ram pump to that. So since 2012, it's institutionalized. It doesn't mean it's the model of AIDFI, but the ram pump as that was for us a big event. Then also Sir Ed from Pepsi now, from the UST now. They also have what's the program called? Crest, I think. Yeah, that was an event, but the program you have, Crest, is for those really very poor identified communities. Yeah, and so they also adapted the ram pump technology. So we did several projects with the DUST, AIDFI, but also an installer in Mindanao whom we trained, and some people who worked with us are with him. They also did projects for DUST. Then together with Coca-Cola, short lang, we started out with drinking water. Then we also started looking at livelihood, so farms. So we went again to DA, and we incorporated projects funded by Coca-Cola, but in cooperation with DA for Saat area, special area for agriculture development. Those were also the poorest. I think that was at the time of Piñolo, that program was established. And then SRA, we also work with SRA on block farms. Then there are some LGUs which discover the ram pump, but then the problem is bidding. For example, just to mention, when we were not really that busy, there were projects bidded by the Nagat Island. I was talking with Sir Ed about that. And then I tried to get in touch with them, but they did not answer. So somebody else took the project. So it's also, it's hard. And it takes a lot of time. If you go in the bidding system, we just want to install. There are so many communities waiting. What we need is programs. We spend the money very carefully. We are very transparent. But that's the barrier. That's the bottleneck. But we do work with government. We do also introducing the associations always to the barangay and the mayor, for example, because we are not, for example, organizing them separately from the government, but more on complementary to make it the government easy to run the projects. No? Yeah.
Thanks to you, sir.
Sige, ma'am.
That's a lot of help in our country. Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes our Q&A part of the... Sorry, we really don't have...
Hello po, my name is Zabi Generos. I'm also from the Rotaract Club of QC, and I'm from the University of Santo Tomas. As a student, I'd like to ask, what is it that young people who don't have degrees, who don't have skills yet, can do to help your cause?
Okay. We do accept OGTs, for example, students. We have cooperation with, that's another opportunity to work with government like TESTA or schools. They can also volunteer, but we don't have, for example, again, also money to pay students. Also the OGTs, we used to give them some money, but right now we also have to survive ourselves. We have imagine as an NGO, we committed ourselves to 30 full-time staff. So yeah, you have to pay the salaries every month. So that's a big commitment. We don't have like, it's like in the communities, you really commit yourself. If you are full-time, you commit. No? If you're hired for 1 year, yung commitment mo and your attention to the program is already, you know, if you're nearing your 1 year, you're already looking for another job. So yeah, volunteering is possible, but it needs to fit in the program. You have to go with the flow of our organization. But people can join to gain experiences or, yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that last question. So that concludes our Q&A for today. And if you'd all like to turn your attention to the back, where you'd like to give a quick demonstration of the miniature, or, yeah.
Our audience members in front can stand and approach the back so you can see clearer.
Sapal, rows 1, 2, 3. So it's a working miniature. It's only the blue. In reality, in the mountains, it's only the blue, what you see. This is an intake structure. This is the source. Then it runs down. There is a high difference. That's where the energy comes from, falling water. Then it runs to the pump. A big part is being returned to the stream or to the source, and a portion goes up. That's only this one. This goes to the village, to a reservoir. This one is only for returning it here to simulate. There's also a small aquarium pump. Many times when we explained, then I said it doesn't use any electricity or fuel. And then they said, oh, what's that electricity all about? No? And then, but that's for the simulation. So let's, sino ka inanak? It's very sensitive, so you can't keep it running because hotels and exhibition areas don't want water flowing on the floors, you know? They are scared. Sandali lang, eh. This is how quick it goes up. The water goes quicker than people can go up to the mountains, no? So now it starts. I have to watch this one that's not overflowing. But, so the cycle is also very quick, no? Like less than 1 second. And the water goes even, technically, it's conversion of velocity into pressure. So water goes even up and down in the pipe in that cycle. Every second the water goes back and forth. So even this one, like in Mexico, we are able to pump up 10 meters. We looked at a higher place. Here we are limited to the situation, but in an exhibition room, if you go 10 meters, a miniature that's impressive, no? Questions now from you about this? Okay, yeah, good question, no? The highest we pumped was 235 meters in Pampanga, but in Bohol, I think, yeah, Bohol was that we pumped over a distance of 5 kilometers. So for example, the question was for Sultan Kudarat, if somebody is looking for a source, they don't consider areas very far away from their village because they think, that's not possible, that's so far. So you also have to tell them that we can pump over a very far distance. 24 hours, walang electricity, walang fuel, no? This all fits in the box. Many years ago, we had the problem of promotion of the technology. So we went to the LGUs, for example, in Negros. You ask for time of the mayor and sit on the table, and how do you explain in the short period while he is signing so many documents and his attention is 50-50, how do you explain how a ramp pump works? So we said we need a miniature of it, so just put it on the table, he will be attracted to it, and then you can start explaining. Then when we scaled it down, we said, why not? We looked for the smallest door hinge, not a door hinge, but like a hinge from a hardware, and that's how we scaled it down. And then we said, why don't we make it work? So it took a long time. It was very hard to find ways to balance that. So when it started working, we fit it in a box. So this kind of box has been all over the world, from Colombia, Japan, Mexico, Fiji last time. We won an award in Fiji last November. We were on a university, and then I asked if I can stay behind with the miniature, keep it there, and then invite, for example, the WHO, UNICEF, UNDP, to get them also get to know the technology. Any question, you can go to it closer if you want later.
Yes, so if we could request our audience to remain standing there and for Sir Auke to turn around so we can take a group photo from up there. Thank you, everybody, for being part of Fair Sharing of Water, Water for All. May the stories, insights, and connections shared today inspire each of us to protect our water, uplift our communities, and lead with courage, creativity, and care, wherever we are in the world. As we transition to the next part of our event, we invite you to explore the Fair Water exhibit on the second floor, so take your time to learn, connect, and be inspired. Please wait for the ushers to guide you to the exhibit. In the meantime, please answer the feedback form accessible through the QR code on the screen. The Fair Water Talks will run every Saturday from June to August 16. We invite you to our next talk on July 19 for Water and Communities, Making Our Communities Safe, Fair, and Future-Ready, featuring a video message from Sonam Wanchuk, a 2018 Ramon Magsaysay awardee, and our sponsor, Maynilad. We'd also like to invite you to Aquarius, a children's drawing contest, an event of the Fair Water exhibit. Mechanics for the contest can be found at the registration table outside. Tell your friends, bring your family, and let's keep the movement growing, one Saturday at a time. To keep updated on our latest activities, visit our website at rmaward.asia or follow us on social media at Magsaysay Award. You can also visit the social media sites for the Fairwater Manila exhibit at Fairwater MNL and the event microsite fairwatermnl.com. Thank you very much for joining us today, and please remember to check out the exhibit on your way out. Thank you, everybody.